This is a horse that you haven't seen on video yet. We've had him a couple of weeks. His name is Cooper. First few rides, he was a pretty bad bucker. He came in to be restarted. He would let us saddle, bridle, stand still to get on. Everything he would say would tell us that he would just walk right off with no problem. And then he would just break in two. And by break in two, I mean he like rodeo break in two. And when he would do that, Robert would pull his head to the side, kick on him forward, drive him forward into a circle just like he's walking right now. And now he's starting to kind of work out of that. I didn't get any videos of him doing that. It just happened I just didn't have the camera set up when Robert rode him. But anyways, he came to us to be restarted. So I'm sure the bucking part was the problem that they were having trouble with. And it was really weird because he would act like he was just perfectly willing, didn't show any tension. His body wasn't tense, didn't pin his ears, nothing, until he just come apart. As you see now, Robert got on him and walked off, and he's walking off pretty nice now. Now, as you watch his mouth, we do have just a plain D-ring smooth mouth snaffle on him. And when you watch his mouth, he's kind of gumming on the bit a little bit. He's probably not real comfortable carrying a bit. I'm not sure what they were trying to ride him in. My guess would be maybe a halter, side pull, or hackamore or something. I don't think he has carried a bit very often. But we had to have a bit in him in order to get his head to the side to get him to stop bucking. We couldn't pull his head around with the halter, nothing else, just couldn't get his head around and up to get him to stop. So had to put a snaffle bit on him and drove him forward into a circle to get him to stop bucking. And now as you see, Robert's walking around on him. And at this point, the objective is just to get him to walk relaxed and realize that nothing hurts, nothing's bad. If he was in pain that was causing the bucking, a couple of different things would go on. One thing, if he was in pain, he wouldn't stop bucking because he'd still be in pain. Then another thing is he would have tension around the body part that was in pain, whether that was in the front or the back or hock, or none of that is going on. And now, as you see, he's starting to walk on, which tells me there's no pain anywhere, because if there was pain, there would still be pain. Pain doesn't just stop like that. You have to treat the pain. If there was still pain, he would still be showing that there was pain. And right now, all he shows is that he's not comfortable carrying a bit, that's new to him. So really, all we want to do is just walk him around, let him realize that being ridden isn't bad, it's not scary. We're not going to ask him to work too awfully hard. We'll trot here in just a few minutes and get him to just be comfortable being ridden. Work on some steering left, steering right, that kind of thing. And just walk and relax. Just kind of walk out his anxiety. I think what he had was a mental thing going on, not a physical thing. Maybe at some point he bucked, got the rider off, got his way, and continued to do that habit. I don't know. It's when he's being good, kind of like this, it's obvious that this horse has had some time under saddle. Even though he's kind of chewing on the bit a little bit, you'll see that settle down. But he's actually got good steering, okay stop, and there's been good work done with him at some point. See right there, Robert just kind of lifted his reins and he steered off left. This is not steering. This is not green horse steering. This is better, more advanced than green horse steering. There he's walking through some mud right there. But this is more advanced than green horse steering. This horse has been ridden some. Why the bucking started, I don't know. I think it was some attitude or something. I'm not really sure if this horse is breeding. Just looking at him, he looks to me like he has some halflinger in him, maybe a halflinger something cross. He's not as wide as a typical halflinger, and he has white that comes up higher than a typical halflinger. But that sure looks like a halflinger body and a halflinger tail to me. So I assume that he's at least part halflinger, has some halflinger in him, and they can have a pretty good attitude. So I think that's where this is coming from. He definitely bucks a lot better than a halflinger typically bucks. They typically don't buck very hard. So whatever is mixed with the halflinger, I think that's where the buck come from. As you see, there's a little bit of trot right there. Got a little bit more nervous in the trot. But is actually moving out pretty free with his legs there, trotting around. He seems a little worried, a little tense, but really not too bad. And as you watch him trotting around, he gets better with his mouth, gets better with his body. It'll start to relax there. He's just kind of dropping his shoulder in. That's just some training stuff that we'll need to work on as we get a little further along. Right now, not bucking is the important part. Dropping the shoulders, that's more advanced. We'll address that a little bit later. Everything has to be addressed in an order. I've tried to stress that a lot over the last few months and some of the horses that's come in. Everything has to be addressed in an order. Right now, the fact that he's dropping his shoulder is insignificant. The fact that he is not bucking, that is the significant part. It doesn't do any good to work on dropping a shoulder if the horse is trying to buck you off. You got to work things in an order. Comfortable being ridden, and then we'll work on the shoulder. So if I'm not mistaken, so far he has not bucked so far, and he doesn't buck at all in this video. I believe this is his first ride that he did not buck. And we've been riding him, I think, close to 2 weeks. And it wasn't like a cold back buck, because as soon as you put a saddle on a cold back horse, they'll lift their back up and round their buck, and they start round their back, and they start thinking about bucking right away as soon as the saddle's on him. That wasn't this horse. This horse didn't buck until the rider would get in the saddle. And he would let you get in the saddle, and he'd stand still while you got in the saddle, got your feet in the stirrups and everything. But that first step, he would just come apart. But we're coming along nice now. Yeah, right there. Robert asked him to steer to the right, kind of gaped his mouth and gave him a little bit of trouble steering, but I think that's just from not used to carrying a snaffle bit. Again, he's dropping his shoulder going that direction. That will need to be fixed, but that's insignificant at this point. As Robert trots him around there, he actually started to develop a pretty nice trot. He would lose his rhythm when Robert steered, but that was getting pretty nice. You could tell that the horse was getting relaxed by his tail swinging back and forth with the trot. Settle back down right there nice to a walk after he trotted him a minute. I would like to see his ears kind of flicking back towards Robert a little more often. I'd like to see his steering a little bit better, but that's all going to come. Uh, right now, the important part is getting ridden without trying to buck the rider off. And his buck wasn't just a buck. His buck was to get the rider off. And it was interesting in the past because just how relaxed you see him now, he would go from this relaxed to bucking really hard. No warning, no stiffness, no pin in the ears, nothing. As Robert trotted him around here, he's getting better with his face, he's getting better with his mouth, actually relaxing his head down a little bit, walking underneath himself good. You see the back end stepping up under the front end there. I got a little short stride there when he got in the mud, but his back end is stepping up under his front end nice. Cooper is pretty relaxed there. You can kind of see by the swing of his head there. I'm standing there at the gate talking to Robert. You can see kind of how his head is swinging, how his tail is swinging. He's actually pretty relaxed there. That is just a natural swing with the walk. Right there, Robert's passing my Patreon sign. I just want to take a minute to thank all my Patreon supporters. Most of the in-depth training videos I'll post on Patreon. Here on social media, this is where you see mostly the just general progression of the horses in training. On Patreon is more the how to do part of training. You're asking for a stop there. See how Robert pulled back to stop. Cooper pulled through it. Now Robert's stopping him through a circle. Not going to just haul back to a stop. We're going to learn to stop. Stop through a circle. There we go. Just like that. Cooper's standing nice there. There's a lot of nice things about this horse. Really, just the bucking was the bad part. Was really the only bad part, but it was a pretty bad part. He just standing nice and relaxed there. I have 3 levels to my Patreon: $5, $25, and $75. The $5 level gets you access to all of the training videos. The $25 level gets your sign up on the board here and gets you a discount on video lessons. And the $75 level gets you all of that, plus it gets you a free video lesson once a month. Robert kicked on him pretty good to get up to trot, asking him to work a little harder. Kind of bowed up like he was thinking about bucking, but he didn't. We're making some really nice progress there. It took a while. It's about time we'll get Cooper out back. We don't like to bring horses out back that buck because there are some holes back there, and that's if they're bucking and buck into a hole, that could be dangerous for the horse and dangerous for the rider. So we usually don't want to bring a horse out back that we think will buck. But we're starting to get a little bit of confidence in him that he won't buck. So it's about time to get him out of this arena. If we stay too long in this arena, they'll get a little bit too confident, and that will create some different problems. It'll create some forward moving problems, some not wanting to steer problems. So we try to get them out of here pretty quick for the ones that are kind of in the initial stages of training. Later, when they get a little bit further along, we can come back into here and do some more of the bend, counter bend, and some other things once forward is established. And again, that's all part of the progression and things that need to happen in a certain order. We have a lot of horses come through our facility, and we've had a lot of practice learning what order things need to go in. Now Robert trotted him around a good bit there, a little bit there, and came back just standing nice. Like I said, there are some nice things about this horse. Really, the only not nice thing was the buck. Just standing like this is just as important as the going forward. Now right there, Cooper started to walk forward. Robert picked up his hand to stop him, and now he's going to circle him and stop again. That's a pretty good technique if you have a horse that you have trouble stopping. So we end it right there on Cooper. That was a successful ride, probably the most successful ride so far. I'll have a playlist on YouTube of Cooper's videos. Until next time, thank you for watching.